Welcome, fellow Biafrans and viewers across the world, to this platform, Biafra Exodus Hard Talk TV, a place where we bring information that has to do with the Biafran government, information coming directly from the Prime Minister of Biafra, Republic Government in Exile, and the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Biafra, Mazi Simon Ekpa Njoku. I am going to share with you on today's program. I want to take you back to memory lane on the messages of the Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa, one of the major State of the Union address he made that took us to another level. I want you to listen to this very broadcast. It's a memory lane to remind you where we are coming from. Let us hear from the Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Biafra.
Good evening, fellow Biafrans. Good evening, friends, well-wishers of Biafra people all over the world. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the press who are seated in your different location to listen to the United States of Biafra State of the Union address today, as we'll address Biafra people on current affairs, the progress, challenges, if any, we've had since the last State of the Union address. Fellow Biafran citizens all over the world, both in the homeland and in exile, I bring to you today a liberation message. This day we've seen again that the terrorist state, Nigeria, the lawless state, the failed and collapsed entity called Nigeria, has failed and continue to fail in the judiciary. The judiciary of Nigeria is not the hope of a common man. That has been proven today from the court where Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was denied bail. This is not what we have come to do today, but it is very important that we remind our people, like we have said before, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be released in a historic manner. The key to his freedom lies in our palm. My fellow Biafran, how far we have gone as a government will surprise many of you, especially those who never believed that Biafra will emerge as a nation. In 1960s, Biafra incurred the enmity of the major world powers, the former colonial power, Great Britain, and even the era of the Organization of African Unity. Biafra did meet the test of the statehood under the criteria of the 1933 Montevideo Convention on the right and duties of state. These criteria are not limited to population, government, the ability to enter into foreign relations, and control of territory. Biafra case were different. However, almost all international laws and their sources try to categorize Biafra as a footnote and a failed attempt at secession, or even branded them as rebellion, rather than a recognized state that once existed and brutally conquered. Today, the power that be depriving Biafra people the freedom they merited has succeeded in planting hatred, greed among Biafrans, especially those that represent Nigeria within Biafra territory. Many of those believe that Biafra is dead. But today, we have proven them wrong. That out of greed, wickedness, jealousy, and selfishness, they succumb to the narrative of the power that corrupted Nigeria. And today they sing with one voice that Biafra is dead. We have disappointed them. The fact remains that Biafra was the first African post-colonial state, in that it was not based on some former administrative unit of imperialism. Fellow Biafrans, in March / April 2023, Biafra restored its exile government, which was ratified by the adoption of the Health Declaration of 2023 and Biafra Charter. The restoration of the Biafra Republic government in exile and the Helsinki Declaration has reaffirmed the independence of Biafra. When the Biafra-Nigeria genocidal war ended in 1970, many of those who fought the war fled into exile. In 1999, the Biafra agitation resurfaced again. In 2007, a new exile government was formed. It was collapsed, remained dormant. In 2023, we restored the Biafra exile government. I want you to understand today that whatever the government has done is in accordance with international law. The definitive goals and the purpose of the Biafra Republic government in exile have been made public both in the media and in the print media, and also have been communicated to many countries of the world. Our goals and our purpose is to secure the freedom and liberty of the Biafra people. Our goal and objectives to represent the sovereignty and the interests of the Biafra throughout the world. The objective and purpose of the Biafra Republic government in exile is to engage in international relationship and diplomacy with the government, state, nations and organizations. The objectives and the purpose and goals of the Biafra Republic Government in Exile is to organize for the security of the people of Biafra, their properties and land, and the people that inhabit every territorial part of Biafra land. Our goals remain to obtain diplomatic recognitions for the sovereign state of Biafra. The Biafra Republic Government in Exile goals, objective, and purpose is to organize the negotiation of trade and other economic activities on behalf of the people of Biafra. My fellow citizens all over the world, in order to achieve these goals, objective, and purpose, we have created the 40th state of the United States of Biafra in the homeland. We have activated the de facto government of Biafra in the homeland. We have established the Bank of Biafra. We have established the Biafra digital currency, among other departments and other governmental institutions, in accordance with international law, especially the 1933 of Montevideo Convention. It is also not unusual for there to be a period of years between exile and declaration of an exile government. We have had similar cases like that of the de facto Republic of Serbia. They went into exile in 1997, and the government was declared in 2005. And the case of the Turkestan Republic, the gap is far longer, with the exile government in 1949 and the declaration only in 2004. My fellow citizens, domiciled all over the world, fellow Biafrans and friends, well-wishers today, a legitimate government is the one that flows from a recognized state, as opposed to so many so-called government in exile. That is in reality a liberation movement. The good news today is that the Biafra Republic Government in Exile status has gone beyond a liberation movement under international law. As a result of the recognition from 5 different countries in Africa, which has never been withdrawn by those countries that recognized Biafra. This particular recognition made the status of the Biafra Republic Government in Exile not just a liberation movement, but a legitimate and a recognized government with a special status under international law. My fellow Biafrans, many experts on international law have opined that for an authority in exile to qualify as a government in international law, there are criteria which the government must meet and fulfill. We believe the Biafra Republic Government in Exile has met all those requirements. And I would like to take us a little bit on history. It is very imperative. Let's look at the precedents of history of government in exile. My fellow citizens, there are indeed precedents for government that achieve sovereignty during times of strife, obtained limited international recognition, went into exile, and were succeeded by declared exile government, and then eventually become independent and member state of the United Nations. I will take you to a journey of Slovakia. Slovakia was an independent state from 1939 to 1945. Slovakia was recognized by 29 different countries during that time. Following Slovakia's reintegration with Czechoslovakia in 1945, the former Interior Minister of Slovakia, Dukansky, set up a government in exile in 1947, which went through several transformations, just like the Biafra people today. As an exile government, the Liberation Committee was part of the Slovakia exile government, the Liberation Council, and finally the Slovak Congress, all advocating for independence, just like you have in the Biafra today. The same people, ironically, who went through this process today will tell you how Biafrans are not united, because we have different groups fighting for the same goal, which is the freedom of Biafra. In 1992, independence was achieved by the legislation when Czechoslovakia ceased to exist. Slovakia in 1938 to 1945 was viewed by the Allied nation as a German puppet state. The various Slovakian exile government and committee were not recognized by any single country, though doubtably many doubted whether they are going to have their independence, but they achieved some sponsorship from the United States. That was during the Cold War. My fellow Biafrans, it is very imperative that you know the history of this world. How many people that you look up to today, many nations that you look up to today, they were there in the past. I will then take you to a history, the journey to Ukraine. Ukraine is again going through the second phase, the most brutal phase in the history of mankind. Ukraine was an independent state from 1917 to 1922 and was recognized by at least 18 countries, including the Holy See, Russia, Germany, Turkey, and Austria. The head of the government, Simon Petliura, went on exile, declared an exile government, and was assassinated in 1926 in Paris by a Soviet agent when there was Soviet Union. In 1941, an independent state of Ukraine was briefly declared and then suppressed by Germany. Germany, not Russia. The unrecognized government in exile persisted until Ukraine again became an independent state in 1991, From 1941 to 1991, Ukraine again became an independent state. The Ukrainian government, under the former president Chochenko, over the protest of pro-Russian element, recognized exile leaders and the 1917 and 41 government as predecessors and precursors to the current state. The trend of Ukraine nationalism has further intensified under the present regime. Today, Ukraine is at war.